My Betterment account recently hit $100,000, but the weird thing is that I actually stopped contributing to this account almost 2 years ago, and it's still growing by itself. And the best part is that I'm not really special, and I'm just a normal dude, so I think anyone could really get to $100,000 with enough time and effort. So in this video, I'm gonna reveal how long it actually took me to reach $100,000 with this app, how much money I started with, and how often I contributed, and tell you what kind of returns I got with Betterment. But first, you might be asking, is Betterment safe and reliable for beginners? And is there a chance that you might lose money from this? And like with any investment, there's always going to be a risk of losing a portion of your money, and I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it because there's going to be a certain level of risk and certain level of payout with any type of investment. But there are 3 ways to still mitigate the risk and lower it as much as you can. And the first thing is to realize that even if you don't invest your money is already losing some of its value from inflation. And just like the same reason that $10 used to get you 2 Subway sandwiches in the past, and now you can barely get even 1 sandwich from Subway. So if you think about it, not investing your money guarantees that your money will lose value. So it's not a situation of zero risk or some risk. So the option of investing your money or not will come with risk either way. So it's more about which risk are you willing to live with. And the second way to mitigate risk is that the more diversified your investment portfolio is, the less risky it becomes. And even if a company that you're investing in does file for bankruptcy, you're not gonna end up losing all your money because of it, and you'll still be balanced out. And if you end up investing with Betterment, they will invest the money for you to make sure it's diversified, and then they'll rebalance your portfolio so the breakdown of your investments align with your risk tolerance. And so the great thing is that you won't really have to worry about this part of the equation. But the third way to mitigate risk is what's ultimately within your control, which is the longer you invest your money, the less risky it becomes. Because in the short term, market fluctuations could be volatile or unpredictable, but as you zoom out of the graph more and more, long-term investments tend to smooth out the risks. So Betterment, just like any investment, is gonna fundamentally come with some risks, but there's plenty of ways to lower the chances of you losing money and come out with a better payout. So you might be asking, how long did it take me to reach this $100,000? And the best thing about saving and investing is that you don't actually need to save the full $100,000 to get to this point, depending on how long you invested for. Because the longer you invest, the less money you'll theoretically need, because your money would have had more time to grow. But start to finish, it took me around 8.5 years to get to this point since I opened my Betterment account in June of 2016. And the crazy part is that I made more in my investments within the last 1.5 years compared to the first 7 years. And this is a small glimpse of compound interest working, because my earnings from the previous years are now working for me along with my deposits. So the growth gets bigger and bigger. And it's important to be super patient when you're getting started, because the vast majority of people will have a hard time getting to $100,000 in a year or 2. So it might take around 3 to 5 years or even
84 years.
So just stay as patient as you can, because trust me when I say that compound interest is starting to build up momentum, even if you don't feel the full effect. So lesson number 1 is just to be consistent with your contributions and invest whether the market is up or down. And if you are enjoying the video so far, it will mean so much to me if you could like the video and subscribe for more interesting personal finance content. And if you do want to sign up with Betterment at any point, I can also place a link down in the description below. So how much money did I start with, and how often did I invest? So part of the reason why I believe everyone watching this could get to $100,000 because I got started with $0 in 2016. And I don't even think that I had an emergency fund or really had that much of savings at that point that I could throw into Betterment. And for my first deposit, I put in $600 in June of 2016, and I made approximately $3.97. And I remember looking at my Betterment account and just being shocked that I made money. And even though it was only a few bucks, I was hooked because I didn't really do anything, but my money just grew by itself and it just felt like magic. And from that point onwards, I tried to be as consistent as I could. And I was still in college at that point, but I put in what I made weekly from my part-time job. And by the first year in June of 2017, I contributed $3,600, which comes out to around $300 per month, or around $70 per week. And once I got started on my full-time job, I started contributing a lot more aggressively, where I started to put away around $1,160 per month up until around April of 2019, where I got to a grand total of $28,000. And I believe I started to shift towards contributing to my Vanguard account at that point. So after that, I contributed close to $388 per month. So I was still putting money into my Betterment, but just at a lower pace. And if you've been following this channel for some time, this big jump was when I started to invest some of my mom's money after I told her that she should be investing for her retirement. And then I just stopped contributing altogether to Betterment in January of 2023. So it's been almost 2 years since I stopped putting money in there. But to make it easier, if I were to average it all out, $64,000 in 8.5 years means that in average, I invested $289.59 per paycheck to get to this point. So lesson 2 is to just start small and start where you're at, because I started with $70 per week and then just slowly built up from there. And I didn't start with a massive lump sum, but instead I set up an automatic deposit and just made investing a habit. So you don't need to be rich to build wealth, but you just need a system to keep you consistent. Now let's get to the juicy part of all of this, because we all came here to see the return and how much money I really made. But first, I do want to mention that I think I remember my first dollar made on Betterment much better than making my first, let's say $1,000 on the app. And ultimately that first dollar motivated me better than seeing that number grow more and more. So with that said, make sure you celebrate the small wins when it comes to investing, because it's really easy to get caught up in not feeling like you're making enough mindset, where you just want more and more. So make sure you celebrate the small milestones, because you'll remember and cherish those moments more. So at this point of the video, you might have figured out how much money I made on the app, but drumroll please. In 8.5 years, I've made $35,866 by investing with Betterment. That's not bad at all. And to break it all down, that's $26,981 from market changes. So this is unrealized gain from the growth of my capital. Simply, that's basically saying how much my stocks and bonds grew by. And another $9,604 coming from dividends in the form of a quarterly payout from these companies, as I'm technically a very, very small part owner of these companies. And then in terms of the fees, I paid around $720 to Betterment for managing my portfolio, which basically comes out to around $85 per year. Not bad, honestly. And my internal rate of return comes out to around 9.2% annually, which is great for an automated investment. And could I have gotten possibly a higher return somewhere else? Maybe I could have gotten marginally better returns at 10 to 12%, but hindsight is always 20/20, and there's never a guaranteed return when it comes to investing. But overall, I'm really happy with the 9.2% return and getting to $100,000 without much effort, because I didn't need to rebalance my portfolio or even have to deal with the tax loss harvesting to lower my taxes, since Betterment does all that without me having to stress over it. So with that said, I highly recommend Betterment to anyone who's just getting started. But you might honestly have a bunch of questions right now, so feel free to ask them down in the comments below, and I'll answer as many of your questions as possible. And if you feel like you're falling behind on your retirement savings, and you feel like your peers and your friends are just zooming past you, make sure you check out this video next, where I'll help you easily catch up on retirement savings in just 7 minutes. So make sure you check out that video next, and I'll see you over there. Peace.